This is your main man, Andrew Wood, coming back, and today I'm going to be doing a video on mature topics in role-playing games. This is a video that I've had several people request since I started my channel here. So, here it is. Now, in this video, the first thing I'm going to talk about is know your players. Don't just throw people into horrendously traumatic situations if you don't think they can handle it. And if you know people well, okay, that's fine. But if the first time you've met these people, either don't go over here, don't go to 10, go to like 2 with it and see, okay, at 2, during player feedback later on, where they're like, oh, I can't believe you went to 2 with that. You're like, oh boy, I'm going to go to 14. So I'm glad we saw 2 was a little bit rough on you. Or you can just discuss openly and candidly. I know a lot of people in real life aren't like this. It's weird to me because it's fucking how I am in real life. I talk very openly about things with people the very first time I meet them. I cannot stand to talk about the weather or, that sort of bullshit. I have no room in my life for that. So I usually get to the heart of it with people a lot quicker than most people do. I don't dance around things. And I don't dance around players in my game. I talk to them and I say, hey, look, I would say, actually, in player interviews, I will say something like this. I'll say, look, we're going to deal with darkness. We're going to deal with mature topics. It's going to be reflective of the tone, of the texture, of the mood that I'm attempting to set with this game. Are you okay with that? Okay, and if they're not playing in my game. It is okay always to pass on players, either for a game or permanently. If they're not going to be a good fit for what you want to do, don't let your artistic style be hamstrung by the players. Now, if no one wants to play what you're doing, you might be doing something that's a little bit questionable. So maybe you don't want to get involved with that. That's okay. Maybe that's a good sign to dial it back a little bit. Now, once you talk to those people and you are agreeing to allow them to play, take some degree of consideration for the way they feel. Take some degree of consideration for that person so they're not subjecting them to something they don't want to become involved with. If you said, okay, you can play, but I knew you were going to be really uncomfortable with this, like you were going to not want to do this at all, but I still forced it on you, not good. If it was kind of like something my parent was like, well, I don't know, I guess we could try it. Okay, good enough to go. So again, talk openly and honestly with your players about the mood you want to go, how dark you want to dial it down. And if they say they're straight with it, well, they better be straight with it. Then that's just on them. What are mature topics in a role-playing game? Well, there's a lot of them. There are various social and political concerns that you can bring in a game, either overtly or symbolically. And the same thing goes with religion. You can handle that in both ways. Of course, in a mixture of ways. You can handle slavery. You can handle racism. You can handle extreme violence. And, of course, always sex. So, when examining these ideas and kind of deciding where you want to, how far you want to go with any of them, you can really tell a story that is far more realistic, far more believable when there are more options on the table. When your characters can be enslaved, when your characters, other things can happen to them. That can really make players drawn in more to what you're trying to do. And that can really be something that is appealing to a lot of people when you have that dark grittiness, when you have those terrible things. Now, there's going to be a big difference. When you have a fantasy world, there's a disconnect. And this is why a lot of people don't like fantasy worlds, because there is a disconnect. When you have a real world, even if it's future, there's going to be a bit of a disconnect to the future, but, there really isn't that much of a disconnect to the past. We've all taken history. We all know some degree about the past of our country, of our world, and then, of course, there's the modern times. So, when you want to deal with topics like social and political ideas or religion in the real world, way I would say to handle it is don't just go, this position is right. I will damn well prove in the game this position is right. These people are good. Everyone else that is against this is bad. That kind of idea it's just fucking boring. You know, when you're just pounding over your views, your ideas of morality onto other people. You know, that's boring. I mean, you know, if I did that in a game, or if Tetsubo did that in a game, or Voltarange did that in a game with religion and social and political ideas, you know, those games would look very different. But at the same time, it would be, you know, these types of people are the right ones, or the chosen, are the ones that can't have anything but correct actions. Well, I say, you know, that's a great thing. Let them know, okay, you're going to do that, and you're going to play, you know, these kind of characters. I know my man Botaroge is a Roman Catholic, so if he all of a sudden like bringing in and it's we're painting all the Roman Catholics really good and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden there's just some wicked ass horrible shit that these priests are doing. You're like, oh, I did not see that coming. That was awesome. I got sucker punched. I love a sucker punch in a game when you think the game master is going to go right and he just fucking swerves back around and hits a straight G turn for your mouth. That kind of thing really explodes for me. It's really awesome. It's kind of thing I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I try this game master, throw those uppercuts at people, and they're like, oh, I never saw that coming. You know, and that really helps players just get that excitement level on. So don't use it as a soapbox for your own ideals. Nobody wants to hear that. You want to talk to somebody about your political beliefs or your religious beliefs, fine, do it. You know, that's a great fodder for conversation, but it's not good fodder for a role-playing game. I think you can bring that in from a character. Say, okay, this character feels this way, and you paint that character out and you show his beliefs and ideals. And you have another one that has different beliefs and different ideals, and you show those, you know, different philosophies, different ideologies of these players, the way they adhere to them, the way that fuels them and motivates them. That's great for a character. But, you know, I mean, overall problematic. I was playing one time in a group, and, you know, I give my character's religion. We're playing the Mage, the Awakening, the new one. And I come in there, you know, I made my character a Southern charismatic Protestant. That is not what I am. But that's what my character was. So I go in there, I'm like, okay. So I'm like, boom, 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 hitting it all. The players, people didn't know me. And, you know, they were, I think, like pagans or something. And one of them just, like, in the middle of a goddamn scene, starts going, oh, are you this and that? And I almost choked the guy because he just messed up my scene. Look at him, I said, no, man. That has nothing to do with what I am. That is what and I talked to him like he's a fucking idiot. I said, no, man. That is my character. I'm in a role-playing game, in a role, conveying the way my character feels. He went, oh, man, that's really good role-playing. I thought you were... I said, that is what my character is. And I point at my character sheet and look at him like he's an imbecile. And he is quiet. And I go back to resuming my role, and rightfully so. Because, you know, that sort of thing is just intolerable. You know, don't play yourself, and certainly don't question somebody when they're putting a character forward. Now, but as a game master, you have many different characters, so have many different voices. There's no reason not to. You know, it just adds to the flavor, the feel of the game. You know, and the same thing when you're getting into racism. You're going to have lots of that in a fantasy game. You're going to have the slavery in a game. But if you're running a game in a timeline in real world, you know, you're running ancient Rome, or, you know, you're maybe running something in a period piece in our country, and you have that, you know, okay, go with it. You know, you might explain to players, okay, there's going to be some dicey dialogue in this gimmick, but that's just the way it is. I mean, I watched Deadwood. I love that show. That show would have sucked the balls if it had G-style dialogue. You know, they were going to talk about some fucking Celestials, and they did a lot. And, you know, it was very interesting the way that, you know, you had that incredibly dark, gritty feel to it. Really was what made the show pop. And just like any topic is straight for a movie, any topic is straight for your role-playing game, as long as your players can get with it. And you say, look, man, this ain't about hurting your feelings. This ain't about making you feel excluded or different or odd. It's just what would happen in a scene. And you drop it down and players go, oh, okay, you know, and that's fine. And in my group, I have players, many different races, of many different religious, philosophical beliefs of both genders, of different sexual orientations. Now, that's fine. But in the game, that doesn't mean that NPC is going to take your feelings into consideration. And you need to understand that. It is not me. It is not the other person they're playing as PC. That is the character in the imaginary space. And when you understand that, just roll with it, man. Just roll with it. You know, the game isn't designed to hurt your feelings. And if you have designed a game to hurt one of your players' feelings, you have fucking serious issues. Fuck is wrong with you? So, moving into extreme violence. This is extreme. I'm not talking about getting hit with a battle axe and having your arm cleaved off or, something like that. I'm not even talking about taking that Warhammer shot to your temple, having your eyeball pop out and describing all the sinew and so forth. It's on the end of the eyeball and how that eyeball just pops like a grape in your mouth. No. I'm talking about being crucified on a tree for 3 days, naked, feeling the sweat come down your body, the slow setting in of asphyxiation, the tingling that's going through your muscles as they're being ripped apart, the dryness in your eyes and mouth, the sweat in your asshole, the fact that shit and piss are falling all over your legs, the tremendous pain, the falling in and out of consciousness, experiencing strange visions that perhaps bring you back a more enlightened, wise individual if you are to be rescued from that situation. Could really present, a great, interesting story, much like a story of Odin, where you have that wisdom garnered from it. And I've, done scenes like that with players at extreme situations, extreme types of torture, throwing them having them whipped with scourges and going into how the flesh is scarred and ripped apart, going into the gory details of these situations. Having had characters enslaved, having characters put on the rack, having characters burned alive or having their flesh pierced and damaged, having symbols branded into them. All these sort of dehumanizing acts can really make the players go, and can give great level of sympathy, but also give tremendous heat to the villains. They're like, we have to rise up and get these villains. We've got to do it. And, man, I'll tell you, you're on a campaign and you get your players enslaved and you just horrible on them. If they can actually come out and even just get one of them, boy, man, they will talk about that forever. Like, oh, yeah, we got that one. We put the boots on him. We killed they will be slow and sadistic, and it'll make for one hell of a gory scene. And I've had that in games, and it's really, really worked out well. So it's something, that I suggest, particularly when the characters have a couple levels and they don't just get their shit back. No. There's no getting your shit back. Your shit is gone. It is all gone. You are buck-ass naked, and you are starting over. So let's see where you go from there. And that can be just a jaw dropper to players. Hey, my magic item, those are gone, man. They're all gone. Everything you have is gone. You were enslaved for 3 years. And these horrible things were put upon you. And you can use, for things like that, you can use the montage, 80s style montage. Fucking torture the fuck out of them. I don't really recommend that style of music for that. It should be very dark, it should not be funny, it should be very perverse. Now, that's right. I saved it for last because I know that's the one you were all waiting for. Sex! That's right. The topic of sex can really add a lot to role-playing games. Now, your character, his 18th level, he's whooped the ass of a beholder. He's picked a dragon up and hit the brain buster on it. He's smacked an iron golem in the mouth. He's grabbed the high priest of Sirik and taken him by the back of it to the ground with him. He's done all these things, but he's never been laid. Your character is not cool. He is not cool. I'm reading that book like, ooh, I can't get with this busted jabroni here. No, son, it's not even going to be the one. So, write some ass for that character, particularly if that character has a good charisma. I mean, if you have like a 4 charisma, yeah, don't reward him. Joke him, put him down, put the boots on him. He shouldn't be receiving that, but it's another great way to make that charisma score valid and viable. All of a sudden, if the character is not getting the attention they want from individuals they find sexually desirable, they're going to go, damn, what the fuck was I thinking with this 9 charisma? I needed to rethink my shit. Why didn't I make my fantasy character cool? Why did I do that? Why didn't I make him good looking? Why didn't I make her beautiful? That's a jacked in me. I've done it to myself. I'm seeing a guy over there with a 19 charisma getting it left and right. I'm not getting nothing. I'm not getting none of it. So, that's a really important way to sell for that stat, but also to get players, engaged in that. And players always want to have treasure. Treasure is a great incentive for them. Now, one of the worst things you can do is just give players loads of gold and and magic items. Those things are not great to have in huge quantity. But if you give players other sorts of treasure, like getting laid, like developing a relationship, particularly I have a lot of female players in games I run, and I find this particularly attractive to them, having multiple um, sexual partners attempt to pursue them, multiple individuals attempt to court them, to attempt to win that hand, or to otherwise solicit their attention, to make them feel desirable, to make them, uh, you know, really to get over what they put together. Most female players that I have played with over my almost 24 years of gaming like to play mad hot chicks. Like dudes want an 18 double off strength. Chicks want that 18, 19, 17, whatever it is, charisma score. They love to have it. They love to have that attractive feat. So when you see that, you go, okay, well, what does she want with that? Oh, she wants to feel beautiful. She wants to feel desirable. She wants to feel attractive. Okay, well, how do we do that? Well, we bring in some characters. We make some situations, get her maybe hot and heavy with this one guy, and then from the back door another one comes in and starts vying for the attention, starts vying for the affection, and you set up things, with the PCs, NPCs, where they're dueling, or maybe a PC and a PC have a relationship are going on, and you swoop an NPC in there to try to do the cock blocks. That can add a great deal to that, a great deal of believability, particularly when you have this incredibly hot chick, like a 9 out of 10 walking around, a 9.5 out of 10 maybe, even a 10 out of 10. She's going to have attention from a lot of individuals, and that can really add a great deal of interest for that player for the game when you have those sort of options. When your character can lead off, to becoming married, to even having children. And you can't go into the dungeon in a damn chainmail bikini, 8.5 months pregnant, out there around him. You can't do that, buddy. You just can't do that. You have to sit this one out. You have to go back to the keep and sit your ass down. And just for the record, don't ever fucking wear chainmail bikinis for your characters. It is just stupid. It is just stupid. Okay, that's fine for a little pinup picture, but for an actual conceptual idea, it is just stupid. Never give anyone an armor class bonus at all if they're doing that, and just have horrible things happen to them, because that is just stupid. So that's, why I'm going to make fun of that for a minute. But, you really have to look at that as a very viable problem, becoming pregnant for a female character. Or now that your male character is a father, how does that change his worldview? How does that change his idea of going out and having to be away from her, having to be away from his family, having to be away from this? Does he get married? Does he not? How does this change? You get those scenes of romance, of love, of passion in these role-playing game where, the characters are having that extra idea away from the game. It's like, man, do I go with her? Do I go with her? Do I go with him? How do I want to go? And you can go into other topics there too, like homosexuality. If your character's homosexual, obviously you're going to go into topic homosexuality, but maybe you're not. You made your character completely straight. But damn, that other character over there with the same gender as you has a 30 charisma. And all of a sudden, certain thoughts cross your mind. That's called selling. There's no reason you have to. No reason you have to go, oh, God, I would be attracted. No, maybe you wouldn't be. But maybe you would. And there's no reason not to bring that into the equation, too. As more interest, as more ideas. Not that, you have to go for it. And, I'm going to get into this idea, too. Tease it. You don't have to go all the way. Just tease it. Just show a little bit. Maybe the character just sells a little bit. Like, maybe he's a little more interested. Maybe, maybe in your soliloquy you put over that, for a minute, kind of. I mean, if there was, I wouldn't be. Maybe if I was, damn. That would be something to think about. Now, besides that, there are the darker side, the darker aspect, particularly if you're looking at a fantasy role-playing game. I'll give you an example. First level characters. Forgotten Realms game when I was running it, female player. The players in my game love to hit diplomacy with monsters, and particularly if they speak the language, they know they might have a chance of, just like in real life, and actually working. It's not just, oh, monsters attack you. That's trash. So the monsters are going to be possibly engaged with you. So they're trying to engage with this group of goblins led by a bugbear. They're talking to the bugbear. One of the players speaks goblin, and he's like, okay, I want you to, let's not fight here. And the goblin's like, bugbear's like, that's fine. You give me your weapon, like a ball or masterwork weapon, and you give me her. And you can leave. We don't have to fight. And they're like, ooh, no, that's not going to work. So that actually led to the players having some bonding after a few months. Oh, thank you for not, selling me off as a slave to them. I appreciate that. And, it made the party a little bit tighter. Again, you need to know your players, but you can go into those darker topics. And while I don't think I've ever actually, been a big fan of having the characters raped, teasing it, flirting it, showing that it is a possibility. Particularly if the players don't know exactly how far you're going. Ooh, gosh, that's scary. I have to protect not only myself from getting killed by these weapons that also are scary, but I have to make sure I'm not getting raped out here. Because a savage tribe of goblins takes that 20 charisma female out, or maybe male, they're dragging him back to the lair, and there's going to be a lot of raping ensuing. That's just going to happen. And like I said, just like that's okay to deal with in a movie, it's okay to deal with in a role-playing game of your player stuff. Now, I think it works better in a scenario like that where you tease it, where the bugbear's like, "Oh, you give us her." Well, the players aren't going to just give her over, but now they have been more heroic. They have protected her. They've been valiant. She's been, saved off, and everyone sucked more into the moment. They're like, "Oh, we got to really kill these bugbears." And when the bugbear actually got killed, his ball sack actually got cut open. So when you kill a character, NPC in my game, I say, all right, well, what do? You get narrative control. And it just so happened that player had tried to throw a weird tactic and slide between the bugbear's legs, and came up with his Kopesh. And that's what happened. Sorry about that, because he rolled a 1 and got stuck between the legs. Next roll a 20. Just sorted him out for like 19 points of damage, or just some really high number for a first level character. So another scenario I had when I was running a Fomori game, I told the players, make characters that are so disturbing no one else here wants to be your friend after this game is over. 2 of the players made a character. It was a 2-headed beast. Another one that made it a Tysher. Tysers are kind of like succubus. Very, very beautiful. Out in the swamps of Louisiana, the 2-headed monster rapes the fuck out of the other player character. And the other player just plays all horrified from that, traumatized for the rest of the game. And that was all legal because the players knew exactly, what they were getting into there as well. So all I could say is know your players, tease, and really use these ideas, not for shock value, but for further pulling into immersion, to get darker, to get grittier, to have more believability, to have more terror in the game. They can work very well if you do that. So that is my video on mature players and mature topics in games.